Hello, and welcome to my channel. Imagine if a single story could help you understand, speak, and even think in English with confidence. You don't need heavy grammar guides or endless lessons. Instead, one story can give you everything you need. Stay close, and I'll explain how. Have you ever learned English by following a story? Share your experience in the comments. If you like this way of learning, please subscribe to support. Your subscription truly helps me continue creating simple, practical lessons for you. Together, we'll make learning English easier and much more enjoyable than you ever thought. Chapter 1. One story changed everything. It was late at night, and I sat quietly in my room. My books were open, my notebook was full, but my memory felt completely empty. Grammar rules filled the page in front of me, but they seemed heavy and lifeless. My head ached, my heart felt tired, and my hope was fading. I whispered to myself, "Is this really the only way to learn English?" I felt no excitement, no courage, only confusion and doubt. Then something unexpected happened. Out of curiosity, I opened a random website. There waiting for me was a tiny story. Just 5 lines, simple and clear. The words were easy, yet powerful. I read it once, then again and again. My lips moved with the sentences, my voice followed softly, and something changed. For the very first time, I understood not just the meaning, but the feeling behind the words. The story touched me. It made me smile and speak. The story was about a little boy who lost his red balloon. He searched everywhere until he finally saw it floating freely in the sky. He smiled with joy and whispered, "It's waiting for me." Just 5 short lines, yet they reached my heart. They gave me courage I'd never felt. I stood up, repeated the sentences loudly, looked in the mirror, and said them again. I wasn't following rules anymore. I was speaking with confidence. That night, I didn't study new vocabulary or grammar. Instead, I discovered something far greater. One story used the right way can become your teacher. The next morning, I printed the story and carried it with me. To school, on the bus, in the park, it stayed in my pocket. I read it again and again, whispered. While walking, spoke it aloud in quiet places, even acted it out like the little boy searching for his balloon. Soon I realized something amazing. English was no longer just a subject to study. It was becoming a part of my life, a voice inside me. I began to think differently. What if I try this with more stories? What if just one story is enough to guide me forward? And it worked. Not because the story was long or difficult, but because it was alive. Each word carried rhythm, emotion, and meaning into my thoughts. From that one story, I learned to read with emotion, to speak with flow, and to think naturally without translating back into my first language. Fluency didn't come from more rules or harder books. It came from going deeper, not wider. Slowly, my English began to feel natural, even effortless. That's exactly what I want for you. In this lesson, I will guide you step by step, showing how one story can completely change your learning. Together, we'll take a single story and explore it fully. By the end, you won't just read it, you'll speak it, think with it, and believe. So now take a deep breath. Leave grammar rules behind for a moment. Forget the heavy words. Let's begin small with just one story that matters. Because sometimes one simple story is enough to change everything. Chapter 2. How to read with feeling, not just words. The following morning, I woke with the story in my hands again. I had read it before, but this time I wanted something richer, something alive. I didn't want to treat words like marks on paper anymore. I wanted them to carry emotion, to sound real, to become living pictures in my imagination. The first line said, "The boy lost his red balloon." I paused, pictured the sky, pictured his hand empty, pictured the sadness spreading quietly across his face. I repeated it 3 different ways, gentle, loud whispering. Each version carried a unique shade of meaning, as though the same sentence could breathe in multiple ways. That moment taught me that true reading is not finishing quickly. It is slowing down enough to feel a sentence echo in both heart and memory. The second line read, "He searched behind trees, under cars, inside boxes." Such simple words, yet suddenly they painted a scene of urgency, hope, and endless determination. I imagined him running eyes, scanning every corner, chasing a dream. No dictionary, no grammar charts, just my imagination guiding me deeper into his little adventure. Reading this way made the sentences stick. They didn't disappear. They remained vivid, attached to feelings, turning ordinary language into something unforgettable and strangely personal. So here's the exercise. Choose any short story. Read it more than once. Act it out if you wish. Add emotion. Don't just speak. Let yourself feel. That morning, I repeated the story 5 times. One version felt like telling a friend, another like living it myself. Each perspective uncovered new shades of meaning. I tried telling it like I would to a child then, as if performing on stage. Every attempt taught me something new about expression and memory. When the story felt alive, the language became natural. I didn't struggle to remember. It stayed with me like music you hum without realizing it. Walking to school, I carried every word in my head. I had no paper, but memory didn't fade because those sentences had emotions tied to them. I encourage you to test this yourself. Pick something small, a lost balloon, a rainy afternoon, a playful dog. It doesn't matter. What matters is your emotion. Read it again and again. Change the mood. Be cheerful. Be sorrowful. Speak slowly. Speak quickly. Don't act like a machine. Become the storyteller in your heart. This approach is not childish at all. It is how your brain learns naturally. It is speaking practice disguised as reading. It is training without pressure. Back then, I didn't know I was building strong habits. My mouth practiced English shapes, my ears learned rhythm, and my brain stored patterns effortlessly. So never read like a tired student. Read like an artist shaping emotions. Read like a dreamer stepping into the scene. Let the words become your own. We have now learned to feel the sentences, but the next stage is more powerful, speaking the story aloud. That's where fluency truly begins to grow. Even if you are shy or afraid, don't worry. In the next chapter, I'll guide you step by step. Stay close, the real transformation starts soon. Chapter 3. Speak the story. Don't just say it. The first time I opened my mouth to speak English, nothing felt right. My voice trembled, my lips stiffened, and even the simplest words seemed impossibly heavy. I had the story in my hand, but my heart raced. Nobody was watching, yet it felt like the whole world was ready to laugh if I failed. Fear kept whispering questions. What if I mispronounce? What if I forget? What if I sound ridiculous? Those doubts pressed down harder than the words themselves. But then I remembered something important. This was not a test. It wasn't a classroom. It was just a short story about a boy and his balloon. That story was light, playful, harmless. It didn't judge me. It only waited to be spoken. That thought made me relax enough to try again. I took a deep breath, focused on the first line, and spoke softly. The boy lost his red balloon. My voice cracked, but at least it came out. It sounded strange, uncertain, but I repeated it again. Then again. Each time felt less heavy. My voice grew slightly stronger, my mouth less afraid of movement. Then I tried adding rhythm. First slow and careful, then faster, then louder, almost singing the words. The sentence began to feel alive inside my mouth. When I reached the second line, I didn't just say it, I acted it out. He looked behind trees, under cars, inside boxes. I moved like the boy. I pretended to peek behind trees. I crouched as if searching under cars. I bent low and looked into imaginary boxes. My body joined the language. And suddenly, I wasn't nervous anymore. I was laughing, moving, speaking, enjoying the process. The fear disappeared, replaced by curiosity, and even a little excitement. That was the turning point. Speaking doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't need fancy grammar or complicated vocabulary. It only needs to be honest and alive. So I kept going. I stood in front of the mirror, meeting my own reflection. I spoke every line with meaning, adding gestures, eye contact, expression. I wasn't just repeating words, I was performing for myself, practicing without judgment. It was fun, playful, and unexpectedly powerful. My English became more than sounds. The mirror showed me something valuable. I didn't need approval. I didn't need a teacher correcting every detail. I only needed practice and courage to continue. I spoke the story again in the morning. I whispered it at night. I repeated lines while walking, waiting, even while cooking. Repetition became my secret teacher. Mistakes happened often. Sometimes I forgot words. Sometimes I mixed them up. Sometimes I laughed at myself. But I never stopped, because each mistake taught me something. Over time, I realized that the words flowed more naturally. My mouth no longer froze. My tongue adjusted. English started to feel like a friend, not a stranger. Then one day, I recorded myself speaking the story. At first, my voice sounded odd, almost unfamiliar, but I smiled because I finally heard my progress. I could hear rhythm where before there was only hesitation. I could hear English leaving my mouth without force. That simple recording gave me powerful confidence. Speaking the story daily trained my tongue, shaped my pronunciation, built my memory, and gave me courage. It was more effective than any textbook I had ever opened. I didn't try to memorize big phrases. I stuck with small sentences repeated with emotion and movement. That's how children learn. That's how I was learning too. So here's your step today. Choose a short story, stand before a mirror, and speak. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for real, natural, and alive words. Act the story. Move your hands. Smile, frown, laugh if you must. Let your body and voice tell the story together. That is where true learning happens. This is not just practice, it is transformation. In the next chapter, I will show you how I trained my ears through listening and why it changed everything. Chapter 4. Listen like a child learns. When I first tried listening to English, I believed it only meant catching words and recognizing sounds. But soon, I discovered it was something much deeper. Listening was not simply hearing, it was feeling the rhythm. The language had a pulse, a melody, a rise and fall, almost like waves crashing, then softly retreating. Babies understand nothing about grammar rules or complicated vocabulary, yet every single day they listen closely. Their ears absorb sounds long before their mouths can speak. That's how children learn. Naturally, slowly, without pressure. They repeat sounds unconsciously, building patterns in their mind. This is the secret most adults forget when learning. So I decided to relearn like a child. I took the same short story about the boy and his red balloon, but this time I just listened. I found an audio version online read by a native speaker. His voice was calm, clear, steady. Not rushed, not forced, like gentle water flowing across stones. I placed the earphones and closed my eyes and surrendered to the sound. No notebook, no dictionary, no pause button, just my ears receiving, just listening. At first I missed details. I didn't recognize every word, and that was fine. I allowed the sentences to wash over me like music I didn't yet understand. The more I replayed it, the more alive the story became. The boy lost his red balloon sounded soft at the end, carrying a trace of sadness. Then the rhythm shifted. He looked behind trees, under cars, inside boxes. It was playful, lively, faster, full of energy. The voice carried emotion, not only meaning. For the first time, I realized English wasn't only about vocabulary lists, it was about emotion. Each phrase contained color, mood, and feeling that my ears could sense. I listened 5 times on the first day, 10 on the second. I played it while brushing my teeth, while walking outside, even while preparing food in the kitchen. I wasn't studying in the usual sense. I was absorbing the same way a child soaks up sounds before speaking. Repetition turned into a kind of background melody. Then something changed. On the third day, my mouth started moving without effort. I could echo the words almost instantly, repeating like a shadow following the speaker's voice. I wasn't translating anymore. I wasn't panicking about meaning. My ears anticipated what was next, and my tongue followed. English no longer felt foreign, it felt like a song. That was the beginning of shadowing. I repeated just behind the speaker, not pausing, not overthinking, just letting my mouth copy the rhythm as naturally as an echo. This daily ritual transformed me. I didn't chase hundreds of random English videos. I stayed with one story, one voice, again and again, until my brain understood it deeply. The best part, I never felt bored. I actually enjoyed it. The story was short, emotional, and easy to imagine. Listening became less like study and more like play, and something magical happened. My pronunciation improved without effort, my memory grew sharper, and my confidence rose. The more I listened, the more English became a natural habit. So if you want to train your ears like a baby, don't chase endless resources. Choose one short story, find the audio, or record yourself reading it aloud. Listen at least 5 times a day. Don't worry if you don't understand every detail. Just allow the sounds to settle into your brain without stress or pressure. With time, you will start noticing hidden things, tone, emotion, pauses, emphasis, even tiny expressions between the words. English will stop sounding like noise and start sounding like meaning. You don't need 100 books or endless grammar explanations. You only need one simple story, one clear voice, and your patience to listen again and again. By now, you've read the story, spoken the story, and listened to the story. The next step is the most powerful of all thinking directly in English. And in the next chapter, I'll share how I finally stopped translating in my head and how you can train your brain to do the same. Chapter 5. Think in English with one story. For a long time, thinking in English felt impossible. Whenever I wanted to say something, my brain translated slowly word by word until the moment passed. I often stayed silent. Conversations moved forward while I stood still. I felt slow, frustrated, and stuck. But then one short story changed everything for me. I already knew the story well. I had read it, spoken it, and listened many times. The next challenge was not speaking, it was thinking in English. One morning, while brushing my teeth, the story appeared in my mind without warning. I saw the boy, the balloon, and the sentence formed. The boy lost his balloon. The words came naturally. I didn't translate. I simply thought them. It felt small, but it was truly a turning point. From that day, I played with the story in my head. While walking to school, I asked questions like, "Where's the boy going?" I answered myself in English, "He is searching for the balloon." Then I asked, "How does he feel?" I replied, "He is sad but hopeful." It became a little game. I wasn't holding a notebook or sitting at a desk. I was using everyday moments to practice inside my mind. I changed details. What if the balloon was blue? What if it flew to the forest? What if the boy smiled instead of crying? At first, I only repeated a few sentences, but slowly my brain wanted more. I created new lines connecting the story with small moments from my day. I lost my keys like the boy lost his balloon. Simple sentences made English part of my thinking. I wasn't just learning, I was living it. Thinking in English doesn't mean big, perfect sentences. It means using small, easy lines again and again until they feel natural. No fear. No pressure. Here's how you can start. Choose one story. In the morning, read it quickly. Later in the day, let it appear in your thoughts naturally. Repeat the first line in your head. Ask a question about it. Answer in English. Don't worry about mistakes. Your thoughts are your private classroom. Do this while walking, cooking, or waiting in line. Think of the story like a friend who stays beside you ready to talk anytime. Play with it. Change it. Imagine new endings. The more you practice, the faster your brain stops translating. English will begin to feel automatic, like breathing. One day, without noticing, you'll catch yourself thinking in English. And when you do, you'll smile because that's proof your brain is truly learning. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't try to be flawless. Begin now with one simple story. Small steps every day create powerful natural English thoughts. And soon, you'll be ready for the next method shadowing. It's a technique that helped me speak faster, understand better, and sound more like a native speaker. In the next chapter, I'll show you exactly how I used shadowing with this story and how it can speed up your fluency even more. Keep going, you're doing something amazing. Chapter 6, The Shadowing Method. The Game Changer. I first saw the word shadowing online. It sounded cool, but mysterious, like a trick I hadn't learned yet. The description was simple. Listen and speak just behind the audio. I already knew my little story by heart. I had read it, spoken it, and listened to it many times. So I decided to try. I pressed play and waited half a second. The boy lost his red balloon, the narrator said. I followed right after, copying the sound, the mood, and the pace. At first it felt strange, like chasing someone down a hallway. I kept going. He looked behind trees, under cars, and inside boxes. I echoed the line a moment later. I felt the rhythm in my mouth. I felt the flow in my breath. After a few minutes, something changed. There was no time to translate, no time to freeze. I had to stay close to the voice. Shadowing pulled me forward and kept me moving. That day, I shadowed the whole story 10 times. I stood in front of a mirror. I watched my lips. If the narrator sounded sad, I softened my voice. If he sounded hopeful, I lifted mine. It stopped feeling robotic. It felt human. I wasn't only copying sounds, I was copying emotion timing and natural speech. My confidence grew because my voice started to move like English. I made it a habit. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 at night. No classroom, no partner, just me, a short story, and a recording. After a week, my tongue felt quicker and lighter. I noticed how words connect. I heard how some sounds disappear and others stretch. My listening improved. My speaking grew smoother. I didn't sound stiff anymore. I sounded alive. You can do the same. Pick a short story you enjoy. If you can't find audio, record yourself reading it clearly. Listen to one line, then repeat with the same shape and feeling. When you feel ready, speak along with the recording just half a second behind. Do not pause. Do not rewind. Keep going like a shadow that never leaves. Mistakes are fine. Movement matters. At first, your breath may feel short and your tongue heavy. That is normal. Keep sessions short and steady. Even 5 daily minutes will train your mouth, your ear, and your brain together. Shadowing is not acting. It is close to real conversation, but without pressure. You hear natural English and you answer immediately. That is how fluency begins to grow. So don't stop at reading or listening. Step into the rhythm. Speak with the audio. Breathe with the lines. Feel the story in your voice. Let English become part of your body. In the next chapter, I'll show you how I stretch this single story into 100 real sentences you can use in daily life. This is where your English starts to expand fast. Keep going. Chapter 7. Turn one story into 100 sentences. It all began with one tiny story, just a few short lines. Yet inside those words I saw unlimited doors waiting to be opened with questions. I didn't want to simply repeat or memorize. I wanted to stretch those lines, bend them, twist them, and watch my English grow like branches on a tree. So I challenged myself. Can I take this little story and build 100 sentences from it? The question felt exciting, and the answer was yes. I grabbed a notebook, looked at the first line, the boy lost his red balloon. Then I closed my eyes and started asking small questions. Who is this boy? He is a young boy. That was one new sentence. What did he lose? He lost his balloon. 2 sentences appeared instantly. Then I kept going. What color was the balloon? It was red. Why was he sad? Because he lost it. 4 sentences became 6, then 10. The more I asked, the more I created. I wasn't copying from a textbook. I was giving life to my own English one question at a time. Soon, I reached the second line. He looked behind trees under cars and inside boxes. From this one sentence, I pulled out many more. Where did he look? He looked behind trees. Did he find it? No, he didn't. Was he tired? Maybe he was. I kept pushing further. I even added new details. The boy ran quickly. He didn't give up. He wanted his balloon back. Each idea expanded my little story even bigger. That's when I realized learning English doesn't need heavy grammar books. It only needs curiosity. Just ask questions like a child. Who, what, where, why, how. Every question was a door. Every answer was a new sentence. I wasn't memorizing rules. I was practicing naturally with my own voice and imagination. The best part, I could do this anywhere on the bus, before sleep, while drinking tea. I didn't need a classroom. I didn't need permission. I also started changing details. The boy lost his blue balloon. The girl lost her red balloon. He found it under a bench. She searched a box. With just a few changes, I built completely new mini-stories. This playful practice made my brain faster, my speaking easier, and my words automatic. One day, I met someone new. They asked me a simple question in English. Without fear, I answered smoothly because I had practiced sentences 100 times. You can do this too. Take your story. Look at each line. Ask questions. Answer them. Change people, places, and objects. Watch your English multiply. It's not just about learning anymore. It's about creating. You become the builder of your own English. You stop waiting for a teacher. You teach yourself. So here's my challenge. Can you turn one simple story into 100 sentences? If you can, you'll discover English becoming a part of you. And now prepare for the next secret. In the following chapter, I'll show you the emotion trick, the powerful reason I never forget a story. Stay with me because you're almost at the finish line. The best tools for effortless memory and fluent English are waiting for you in the next step. Chapter 8. The emotion trick. Remember every word. I once believed my memory was broken. I could spend an entire day learning new English words, but the next morning they disappeared like footprints washed away by rain. I filled notebooks with endless lists. I made colorful flashcards. I repeated phrases under my breath on buses and queues, even before sleeping. Yet nothing seemed to stay. Every attempt felt mechanical. The words were empty shells, sounds without weight lines, without life. I thought perhaps something was wrong with me, that fluency was out of reach. But the truth wasn't about my brain. The problem was my method. I had been treating words like cold puzzle pieces instead of living parts of real experience. Then something shifted. It wasn't planned. I returned to the balloon story I had used countless times, but this time I wanted to go deeper than just repeating sentences. I closed my eyes. I didn't just see the boy in the story, I became him. Suddenly I wasn't outside the page. I was inside the memory. I recalled my own childhood, the afternoon when I lost a small toy car in a crowded park. I ran in circles, searching, tears burning my face. The sentence. The boy lost his red balloon no longer felt like grammar practice. It became my sentence tied to my sadness, rooted in my heart. I repeated it again. The boy lost his red balloon. But now each word carried weight. Each sound vibrated with emotion. The memory glued the language to me. Next, I read. He looked behind trees, under cars, and inside boxes. My mind replayed a different search, crawling under my bed, whispering my dog's name, fearing he was gone. The fear made the words unforgettable. I no longer needed to memorize them. They lived inside me because they were painted with my own feelings. Line after line, I rebuilt the story with new emotion. I changed the boy's name. Sometimes he became my younger brother. Sometimes he was me, running breathlessly, refusing to give up. Suddenly it wasn't the story. It was our story. A shared adventure stitched together with my own memories, imagination, and love. That's when I understood the emotion trick. The secret is simple. When you connect words to feelings, they stop behaving like strangers. They become family. And family is never forgotten. From then on, I didn't force myself to memorize. I didn't struggle to review every sentence. They stayed naturally, not just for days, but for years. Even today, I can still recite the balloon story. Not because I studied harder, but because the story is alive in me. It has become part of who I am. You can do this too. Take one sentence. Close your eyes. Ask, when have I felt this? Don't just think, remember. Let your memory carry the language. If the line says, the boy was sad, recall a time you were sad. Bring back the place, the sounds, the face. Relive it. Then say the sentence again. If the sentence is about joy, perhaps finding the balloon summoned the thrill of discovering something you lost. Feel the excitement surge through your body as you speak. And if you cannot find a memory, don't worry. Use your imagination. Invent colors, voices, laughter, or even silence. Create a vivid moment that feels true. This is why stories succeed where word lists fail. Stories breathe. They contain feeling, movement, and images. Lists are cold. Stories are warm. Warmth helps memory stick. So don't learn only with your head. Invite your heart. When your heart is involved, words move from paper into blood, into bone, into permanent memory. That is the emotion trick. Learn it, and you will never truly forget again. Your stories will travel with you everywhere, ready to be spoken naturally. And in the next chapter, I will show you how I use this single tale not just to practice, but to transform it into my own personal story. That step changed everything. It turned practice into confidence. It made me feel less like a student and more like a speaker, and it can do the same for you. Keep going. You're close. Don't just learn English live it, breathe it, feel it, and your words will never leave you. Chapter 9. Create your own story. For many days, I only followed. I copied words, repeated sounds, and walked behind another voice. But deep inside, I knew something was missing. One day I decided to change. I told myself, you don't have to stay in shadows forever. You can create something new, something yours. At first, I was nervous. My mind whispered, you're still learning. You're not ready. But then I remembered I had already lived the first story. I had spoken. It felt it carried it inside me. And because I knew it so well, I could play with it, bend it, and make it mine. So I picked up a pencil. I wrote one line, a girl lost her yellow kite. Simple words. But with that moment, my story was born. I changed small things boy into girl balloon, into kite red, into yellow. With each shift, I smiled. The old story began to breathe differently. Line by line, the story grew. She searched on rooftops among trees under her bed. The details were fresh, but the feeling of searching stayed alive. Then came the ending. She saw her kite flying in the sky. She laughed, whispering, "It's been waiting for me." I felt joy as she did. I read it aloud. The words carried my voice. It wasn't long, it wasn't perfect, but it was mine. That was the true victory. You can do the same. Don't chase grammar. Don't fear mistakes. Start small. Change one word, one sentence. That's how your voice begins to shine. Maybe the boy becomes a dog. Maybe the balloon becomes a shoe. Maybe instead of losing something, the character discovers something beautiful, unexpected, and new. Write about rainy mornings, hidden treasures, missing socks, or a strange dream. Write about yourself, your friends, or people who only live in imagination. Keep it simple. Short lines, clear words, then read it out loud, slowly. Add emotion. Smile. Your story becomes alive when your heart joins it. And here's the secret. Your own story can also be your teacher. Read it, speak it, shadow it, and feel it, just like the original one. The first time I shared my story, my friend looked at me and said, "Wow, you created this." In that moment, I felt truly free. You don't need to be advanced. You don't need perfection. You only need courage to begin. Sentence by sentence, your story will belong to you. Now it's your turn. Take the first step. Write your version, use your life, use your dreams, then share it proudly. It's your creation. Chapter 10. One story. 30 days. This is the last stage, the most powerful of them all. You have already practiced so many steps, and now it's time to gather everything into one clear journey. I call it the One Story 30 Days Challenge. With a single story used again and again in creative ways, you'll discover more growth than from endless books or complicated grammar lessons. Week 1. Becoming familiar. Day 1. Read the story 5 times slowly out loud. Day 2. Listen with eyes closed. Focus only on sound. Day 3. Read aloud, add feeling. Day 4. Shadow each line. Day 5. Repeat sentences silently while walking. Day 6. Ask yourself simple questions and answer. Day 7. Link sentences to personal memories. By the end of this week, the story feels alive inside you, like a voice living within your thoughts. Week 2. Expanding the story. Day 8. Replace small words, create new versions. Day 9. Write 10 fresh sentences from the story. Day 10. Act it out, use body language. Day 11. Tell it to a friend. Day 12. Imagine a different ending. Day 13. Ask creative what-if questions. Day 14. Speak from memory without reading. At this stage, you are not just repeating, you are shaping the story with your own imagination and voice. Week 3, deep practice. Day 15. Translate into your language, then back. Day 16. Record yourself. Listen carefully to pronunciation. Day 17. Shadow again, faster this time. Push harder. Day 18. Write 20 questions and answers. Day 19. Perform the story in different emotions. Day 20. Write a diary entry as the main character. Day 21. Tell the story in the mirror. Smile with confidence. You are no longer practicing like a beginner. You are already using English like a creator. Week 4. Living the story. Day 22. Watch a video with similar words. Day 23. Turn the story into a song. Day 24. Teach the story to someone else. Day 25. Draw or make a comic of events. Day 26. Write a paragraph about your feelings. Day 27. Talk about the story nonstop for 1 minute. Day 28. Mix this story with another one. Day 29. Retell from another character's view. Day 30. Record your version. Watch yourself proudly. At this moment, everything connects. One story, 30 days. You didn't just study English, you lived it, breathed it, and transformed it into your own voice and confidence. That's what happened to me. After 1 month, I didn't feel like a student anymore. I felt like a communicator, someone who could speak, feel, and create naturally. So don't wait. Begin today. Pick your story. Follow this 30-day journey. Repeat it next month with another story, and again the month after. Watch your English grow faster than ever. You don't need endless lessons or countless books. You need one story used fully with passion and persistence. That's enough to change everything in the way you learn. If this video inspired you, please like and share it. Tell me in the comments if you're ready for the challenge, and subscribe for more lessons like this. Your journey doesn't end here. This is only the beginning. Together, we'll keep moving forward story by story until one day you realize you've already become fluent.